I'm going to talk about the key conversation that's going on in the crypto space with Bitcoin at the heart of it. So let's talk about it. So first, let's talk about why Bitcoin is still the anchor of the entire crypto space. With a market cap dominance of about 60%, Bitcoin is not just another crypto. It sets the tone for the entire space. And that is why, regardless of what cryptos you're interested in, you do always have to know what's going on with Bitcoin, because Bitcoin sets the tone for the entire space. Okay, and that is why whenever you do a search for any crypto-related topic, Bitcoin invariably always makes it into the top part of the search. So whenever you search for trending topics in the crypto space, you're always going to see articles about Bitcoin. Now, here are the three reasons why that's the case. First of all, is broad recognition, okay? Even if you're not into cryptos, everybody knows Bitcoin. They may not understand it, they may not know what it is, but everyone has heard about Bitcoin. Okay, number two is institutional interest. Big investors consider Bitcoin, as digital gold. Matter of fact, that is the popular nickname for Bitcoin, digital gold. And the third reason is macro signals. Movements in Bitcoin often reflect, broad economic and regulatory conditions. And you will see these three themes around Bitcoin coming up again and again. Now, one big topic around Bitcoin are spot ETFs and institutional inflows. Now, in recent weeks, large crypto-related funds have seen a lot of outflows and inflows that have been influencing the sentiment in the entire crypto space. For example, one recent report noted about 1.3 billion US dollars flowed out from crypto funds just this past week, with Bitcoin products leading the way. Another key data point, global crypto ETFs attracted almost $6 billion in 1 week, and Bitcoin captured the lion's share of that. So why is this relevant? Because when large institutions move large amounts of money in and out, market dynamics will shift. Now, for a savvy investor or just a curious onlooker, this will frame why headlines like Bitcoin hits a new high or withdrawals from Bitcoin matter. Okay, so whether you're a veteran in the crypto space or you're brand new to it, if you see those kinds of headlines, particularly related to Bitcoin, you need to pay attention because those kind of headlines, they set the tone for the market. They drive the market. So next I want to talk to you about Bitcoin's role as a safe haven or a macro hedge. So not too long ago, Bitcoin made headlines for making a brand new high, hitting that $125,000 level, largely in reaction to inflation news and inflation worries. I mean, investors were reacting to worries about inflation and their concern over the currency, the debasement trade. Remember the video I did about the debasement trade? When global uncertainty rises and people become worried and they're uncertain about economic conditions, they flee to products that have perceived safety. And Bitcoin, ironically, even though it's a crypto, is starting to be seen as a flight to quality. So Bitcoin has become an alternative asset to the typical asset classes like stocks and bonds. I mean, listen, it wasn't very long ago where everyone was saying that Bitcoin was a scam, but really the landscape behind Bitcoin has changed dramatically and forever. Bitcoin is not viewed as a pure pump and dump asset anymore. It is an actual asset class all onto its own. And that shift in psychology toward Bitcoin, it matters. And this is why Bitcoin has got that, that nickname of digital gold, because people view it as serving the same purpose as an alternative asset when inflation becomes a really big issue. So why is Bitcoin considered an inflation hedge or an economic chaos hedge? Is because there's a limited supply, right? Like gold, where there's a small amount of gold, there's a very small amount of Bitcoin. Plus, factor in the decentralized nature of Bitcoin. There's no central figure or entity that's behind the product. And in fact, that is why Bitcoin, just is the only actual cryptocurrency in the world. I mean, whether it's Ethereum or BNB or XRP, the only true decentralized product out there in the crypto space is Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is technically the only cryptocurrency because Bitcoin is the only one that is decentralized. It's out there, it's on the blockchain, it's got the algorithm, and it cannot be touched. Bitcoin cannot be altered, it cannot be changed. But like Ethereum, for example, it has an actual person behind it. It has an actual company behind it. Same with XRP and all of these other, cryptocurrencies. But we lump these all together and call them all cryptocurrencies out of convenience. But they're not all cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin is the only true cryptocurrency. Okay, so the next topic I want to talk to you about is Bitcoin's dominance versus the altcoin market. Okay, so recent reports show that Bitcoin's dominance, meaning Bitcoin's share of the total market cap in the crypto space, is at a multi-year high. For example, one article referring to Bitcoin's dominance hit a level that has not been seen since 2021. What that means, altcoin, which is all cryptocurrencies outside of Bitcoin, are getting less attention right now relative to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the big dog, so to speak. Now, for crypto savvy investors, what this means is that when Bitcoin is this strong, that means it's drawing attention from all of the other cryptos in the crypto space. Money is flowing out of those other cryptos into Bitcoin. Okay, so for you casual speculators out there, whenever you hear the term alt season, everyone's waiting for the alt season or the alt season is here. What they're referring to is the shift from Bitcoin to all of the other cryptos. They're waiting for that event. They're waiting for people to start pouring money into all of the other cryptos that aren't Bitcoin. So that's what we mean by the alt season. Bottom line is that when Bitcoin dominates the headlines, it is drawing attention away from all of the other cryptos, the alts. And that is what we are currently seeing, okay? So if you're wondering why your crypto has not been performing very well, it's because Bitcoin is sucking all the oxygen out of the room, so to speak. Now, another trending topic in the crypto space is regarding the regulations surrounding the cryptos. This has been a very big year for very important crypto news, and people are swearing that the landscape has changed, and it has. The landscape for cryptos and the future for cryptos are much different right now than they were, a year ago. And that's partly because of the introduction of the entire ETF space, related to Bitcoin and the other cryptos. So when you hear about a regulatory update regarding the crypto space, particularly with Bitcoin, it's going to influence the entire crypto space. So at the moment, this is a very headline-driven market. Okay, so what does all of this mean to you? Well, if you're a veteran, if you're an experienced, crypto investor, keep an eye on Bitcoin ETF inflows and outflows. Also, keep an eye on macro signals like inflation-related data and monetary policy. I mean, just know that Bitcoin is the proverbial canary in the crypto coal mine. If some kind of macro news comes out that affects Bitcoin and moves Bitcoin, it's going to have a knock-on effect on the entire crypto space. So regardless of what crypto you own, just know that whatever headlines or macroeconomic news is affecting Bitcoin, Bitcoin is going to affect the performance of your altcoin. Now, any crypto can move on its own story for any short period of time, right? So any individual story can, fight the trend, but eventually even that will succumb to the magnetic pull of Bitcoin. Okay, so that's the topic I want to talk to you about, regarding the crypto space, particularly Bitcoin, from a 30,000-foot perspective. Because too many times people get lost in the weeds. They look at cryptos on a micro level, and they agonize over every little wiggle and jiggle. And you want to have a little bit of patience, and you want to look at things in a kind of a macro point of view. You want to scale back and take in the whole picture, and just kind of understand in broad terms what moves the market, what kind of tidal waves will influence the crypto space in any given period of time. So as I'm recording this, it is November 13th. Let's take a look at what Bitcoin is doing at the moment and talk about what I think it's going to do going into the next year. Okay, so as of this recording, Bitcoin is trading at 101,000. Let's take a look at the chart. And that's the 1 week. Let's take a look at the 1 year chart. Okay, so it put in its high during the first week of October there, and since then it's been sloppily rolling around. So there's no gee whiz chart pattern going on here with Bitcoin. So from a technical aspect, Bitcoin isn't really showing us anything really dramatic at the moment. I will say that from a psychological point of view, that $100,000 level is important. If it cracks below that $100,000 level and stays below there for more than 2 or 3 days, they could whittle this guy down a little bit. Now, if the market has some kind of a crash, Bitcoin will follow along. I did a whole separate video on this topic. So if that were to happen, in the event of a market crash, Bitcoin is going to participate, okay? But I think it's going to be short-lived because remember, Bitcoin now serves as that alternative investment. It's that digital gold now. So although I think it'll have that knee-jerk reaction if the market sells off, if the market sells off dramatically enough, that gravitational pull is going to pull everything down, including Bitcoin. But Bitcoin, I think, will recover faster than most speculative plays because of its role as digital gold. Now, my guess is, and this is not prediction, so don't, this is not a recommendation or anything. I think Bitcoin is going to have a really good year next year. I think Bitcoin is going to play a larger role as an asset, because remember, its role as this new general inside of this new asset class is still relatively young. But these ETFs are coming on really strong, and people are becoming more and more comfortable with the idea of Bitcoin and of cryptos in general. So I think that Bitcoin is going to have a good year next year, minus some unforeseen event, which you can't plan for. Okay, you can't plan for an unforeseen event. That's why they call them, black swan events, because no one saw them coming. There are warning signs out there that I've done videos on. So that's why you always want to have a plan. Remember, when I was a trading instructor, one of my primary messages was picking the right stock or bond or crypto to buy is useful, but what's far more important is what is your plan? What's your plan? Your plan is everything. Please like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Ed Anderson, live from Minnesota, signing out.
Copy that.